Number 15, Candle Cove. There's a forum thread about an old kid show from the 70s which was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. One episode in particular was disturbing because for the whole duration of the show, every character just stood there and screamed while the little girl cried like she'd been going through hours of this. As memories of the show are shared in the forum, it becomes clear that the show is actually very disturbing. One comment on the main villain of the show stood out. It was a skeletal character called Skin Taker. His mouth slid back and forth instead of opening and closing. Another commenter recalled that when the little girl asked about his mouth, Skin Taker ordered her to look directly at the camera and said to grind your skin. Eventually, one of the commenters asked his mother if she remembers a 70s kid show called Candle Cove. She was surprised he remembered it. Apparently, he would ask to watch it, then turn the TV to static and would watch it for 30 minutes. Number 14, 1999. Name your brother and was trying to track down a bunch of the TV shows and watched it in 1999. I thought it was most likely where my childhood where I was still the show where I was children. We investigated and put this one in the end of the show. The brother was trying to lure children into his house inside the house. And then as doing this, we're aware of costume comments on this affair. The first show was called Bobby, live action based on Tom and Dave. Each episode had a character following in a situation. However, each episode got more strange. One episode was on the way to the show Bobby Gold appears while another smaller character turns violent on the background as he was being held forcibly in the air. Bobby then sat and had this as a muffled screams and shouting in terror. The sisters eventually went into the phone to get a horrifying crunching sound. It was the last episode of Bobby that Ellie ever watched. The next show was called Mr. Their Son. Jeff the Predator dressed as a mystery character. The episode was called Still and talked on the stage. Eventually got put shut down the channel.
Number 13, Persuaded. After an oil tanker spill, people start getting infected with brain parasites that causes massive aggression and to kill anyone around them. One man tries to hide in his bathroom, but soon a horde of the infected breaks into his home. Instead of breaking down the door, they start to whisper constantly, trying to persuade him to join them. They are fully aware and patient. After days of whispering, their offer begins to sound tempting.
Number 12, Abandoned by Disney. A supposed Jungle Book themed resort was built by Disney in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, with a palace in the center called Mowgli's Palace, after the movie's main character. Disney purchased a ton of land and pushed people out of their homes to make the resort, creating issues with the locals before the park was even open. The park was eventually built and was in operation for a short while until Disney closed the park and the locals were happy for a while. The narrator came across a blog post about a similar case in the Bahamas where Disney suddenly closed their resort Treasure Island after extremely creepy and unexplained findings. So the narrator decides to go to Mowgli's Palace to see if it's equally as creepy. He enters the abandoned palace and finds locked hotel rooms and broken souvenirs. Occasionally he hears an unexplained noise. He notices signs that say abandoned by Disney on various gates and rooms of the resort. The narrator finds the exploration boring so far, so he decides to explore further into the resort. He takes a picture of a giant python thinking it was a statue, but it slithers off and he realizes that he must be in a reptile resort. Shaken from the snake encounter, he looks for someone to sit down. He heads towards stairs that once again say abandoned by Disney. Next to him he sees a locked door that has a sign on it that reads mascots only. He becomes intrigued and manages to break in. Inside is an untouched area that looks just like a normal workplace. He comes across a door that says character prep 1, but it's locked. He decides to exit the building, but suddenly the door pops open. He enters the room and he sees a bunch of mascot suits hanging on the wall. He fidgets through a Donald Duck costume only to have a human skull tumble out of the headpiece. He runs for the door but quickly decides to take a picture of the skull for proof. But now in the middle of the room he sees a Mickey Mouse costume that's not in its normal color, but instead photo negative. As he attempts to take the picture, Mickey gets up and asks the narrator if he wants to take its head off, but then takes its head off and sticky yellow blood pours out. The narrator begins to run for the door again, but this time he sees a sign that says abandoned by God and the story ends.
Number 11, The Rake. In 2003 in the United States, there was an incident involving a mysterious human-like creature. It gained a lot of attention from local media, but after the story was initially released, most online and written documents were destroyed. Sightings of the creature became more frequent, and how people reacted to the creature really varied from fright to curiosity. In 2006, a team of researchers uncovered the mystery behind the creature. They had found nearly 24 documents about the creature dating back from the 12th century to present day. The creature was referred to as the Rake. The sighting that stood out the most was a woman's account that dated back to the same year of the discovery. It said that she awoke in the middle of the night, and doing so accidentally woke her husband up as well. Her husband turned to look at her but gasped and immediately grabbed his wife. At the foot of their bed, sitting and facing away from them, was a creature they described as a big hairless dog. The creature suddenly sprang up and crouched less than a foot from the husband's face. It stared at him for a while until it suddenly made a dash through the door of their room. The couple ran after it, fearing for their children. They ran straight into their daughter's room only to find that they were too late. She had been mutilated and was close to death. The daughter suddenly said, "He's the rake." It was her final words, and the rake had disappeared to never be seen again.
Number 10, Keyhole. The story is about a man staying at a hotel for a few nights. While he was checking in, the woman at the front desk warned him that there was a door number on the way to his room. She said the room was recently stored and would not go in the room or look inside. He went straight to his room without asking his question. By the second night, his curiosity got the best of him, so he decided to check out the room. He turned the knob and it was just like the woman said. He then decided to peek the keyhole. Inside it looked like an old room, except that the corner there was a very pale woman standing with her head resting on the wall. Confused, the man decided to return to his room. The next day, the man decided to look through the keyhole once more. This time, all he saw was the color red. Nothing else, just the shade of red, as if she had walked the keyhole or something. The man thought he should ask the woman at the front desk. Upon doing so, she sighed and asked if he looked through the keyhole. After he confirmed, she would tell the story of the woman. Many years ago, her murder actually now haunts. She said you said very pale because her eyes were shut.
Number 9, the angel statue. A couple decides that they want to go out for the night, so they call their usual babysitter to take care of their children. The children were already asleep when the babysitter arrived, so she decided that she would watch some TV. The only TV that had cable in the house was in the parents' bedroom, so she called them to make sure that they were okay with it. The parents didn't have a problem with it, but then the babysitter asked if she could cover up the angel statue because it made her feel nervous. The father hesitated and told her to immediately get the kids out of the house and call the police because they didn't own an angel statue. The police arrived, and upon entering the house, the babysitter and children were found dead in a pool of blood, and the angel statue had disappeared.
Number 8, Where Bad Kids Go. A photographer decides that he wants to find out more about a children's show he watched as a child in wartime Lebanon. He remembered that it used graphic imagery and scare tactics to keep children from misbehaving. He believes that the show was an attempt to enforce strict ideology. In each episode, something different was enforced, like bad kids stay up late and bad kids steal food from the fridge at night. He also remembered that each episode ended the same way, with the camera slowly zooming towards an old rusted iron door, and screams could be heard from the other side. As the camera got closer, the screams got louder, and when they became unbearable, text appeared on the screen that read, "That's where bad kids go." The photographer manages to track the now abandoned studio where the show was filmed. He entered and found the rusted door inside. He discovered that beyond it was a small room that was covered in blood, feces, and bones. What shocked him the most was the cage microphone that hung in the middle of the room.
Number 6. SCP Foundation. This organization is full of doctors, researchers, and agents aiming to understand abnormal creatures and objects. They strive to make sure that these creatures don't get into the wrong hands. In order to research the creatures, experiments are performed on death row inmates. SCP-173 is the most infamous creature there. It's a statue-like creature with a bloody face and short limbs. It also been recorded that the creature cannot be stared at because once eye contact is broken, it immediately kills its victim by snapping their necks, and therefore is constantly under observation.
Number 5. Ben Drowned. In 4chan, a user posted about an experience he had with a haunted Majora's Mask N64 cartridge. It had a save file titled Ben on it, so he decided to make a new save, but everyone in the game still referred to the character as Ben inside of his new game. He deleted the Ben save, but now the character is referred to him as nothing at all. He attempted the 4th day glitch, which allows players to play beyond the 3rd day where the moon crashes into the planet and the game is over. From this point on, the player experienced many strange occurrences. Textures and characters were missing from their proper locations. Music was played backwards and random text was appearing. The user decided to make videos of the game as proof. Eventually, the user's roommates posted a message saying that the user had moved out, but left a final movie showing that the cartridge had breaked out into the computer and would soon break out into the world.
Number 4. Jeff the Killer. Jeff is a boy who moved into a new house, and on the day of his move-in, he was invited to a neighbor's birthday party. He decides to take his brother Leo with him. When they were waiting for the bus, they were attacked by 3 teenagers. Jeff was successfully able to defend him and his brother, and the attackers were left with broken wrists and knife wounds. After this incident, Jeff realized that he enjoyed inflicting pain on others. It was always a feeling that he had, but it had never been provoked until today. At night, his mother was awakened by someone crying in the bathroom. She found Jeff inside, carving a permanent smile into his cheeks. He had also cut out his eyelids, claiming so now he could never sleep. She dashed to wake up her husband, but was stopped when she saw Jeff blocking the doorway with a knife in his hand. was the last thing that she heard. With Jeff's parents dead, Leo only remained. He had been awoken by his parents' muffled screams. He tried to go back to sleep, but couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. A hand climbed over his mouth, and he felt a blade plunge into his stomach. Jeff said, "Just go to sleep." Jeff was never seen again, but it said that he's out there, waiting.
Number 3. Squidward's suicide. An intern and some co-workers at Nickelodeon Studio received a tape titled Squidward Suicide, which was originally just assumed to be an office prank. The video starts off with Squidward sitting on a bed while strange noises get louder in the background. The video has random flashes of dead children and gore, but always cuts back to the original video of Squidward. His face is black with red eyes. Eventually he shoots himself after a deep voice commands it, ending the video. The employees checked to see when the footage was edited since it thought that it had to be done by someone who works in the office. They check the timestamp and find out it was edited only 24 seconds before it was given to the intern. Authorities investigated the footage but came up empty.
Number 2. Normal porn for normal people. A chain email was received by many people urging them to visit a website titled normalpornfornormalpeople.com because it was for the good of mankind. Many found it intriguing, so many decided to check it out. It was a basic website with a wall of text on the main page. The tagline stood out reading "Normal porn for normal people," a website dedicated to the eradication of abnormal sexuality. Not many people stuck around at this point, but the ones who did learned that. The first video was titled, and it showed a man, a woman, and a dog in a kitchen. The woman would prepare a peanut butter sandwich, which the man would give to the dog. This went on for half an hour. The next one was titled, and it showed an obese mime performing for 5 minutes, but for 30 seconds. Next was that showed a man with no legs attempting to break dance for 5 minutes. The man collapses due to exhaustion and begs someone off-screen to let him rest. The man off-screen becomes angry and yells at him to keep dancing, which he does. The video suddenly stops. The next video is titled, and it shows a woman on a mattress while the man with no legs from stumps walks around the mattress wearing a goblin mask. The video is unusual because the door that is closed in every other video is open. Near the end of the video, an animal can be seen quickly running through the hallway. The last video is a blonde woman tied down with her mouth taped shut. After 7 minutes, a man opens the door but enter. Instead, the animal is a chimpanzee. The mauling goes on for 7 minutes. The video ends with the chimpanzee feast.
Number 1. The Russian Sleep Experiment. During the end of the 1940s, Russian researchers conducted a study where 5 prison inmates were sealed in a chamber with experimental gas stimulant being pumped in constantly to test if the inmates could go completely without sleep. The inmates would be observed constantly, and if they could go 30 days without sleeping, they were promised their freedom. The first few days were uneventful, but on the 5th day the subjects became stressed and began complaining about their circumstances. They stopped talking to each other and instead whispered information into the microphones in hopes of winning the trust of the researchers. Paranoia set.
On the 9th day they started to scream. First only one subject, then another was running around the chamber screaming constantly. The other subjects began ripping apart the books they were given and smearing the pages with feces and pasting them over the observation glass so they could no longer be observed by the researchers. Eventually the screaming stopped and so did the whispering. For days nothing making a sound. The researchers fearing that they were all dead and now stored in intercom that they were opening the chamber to test the microphones and to lie on the floor or be shot in compliance with their immediate freedom. A voice from the chamber inside.
We no longer want to be freed.
Another 2 days passed with the inmates saying nothing, so the researchers decided to terminate the experiment. On the 15th day, the gas would be replaced with fresh air to prepare the inmates for their release. Instead, the researchers opened the door and had armed guards sent in to retrieve them. Inside, one inmate was found lying dead in inches of bloody water. Chunks of his flesh were torn off and had been stuffed into the floor drain. All the subjects had severe self-inflicted wounds. They had ripped open their abdomens with bare hands and disemboweled themselves. Some of their own flesh had been eaten too. The 4 inmates still alive were deathly afraid of falling asleep and refused to leave the chamber, still begging for the gas to be turned back on. The inmates fought ferociously as they were being taken up by the guards. One suffered a ruptured spleen and lost so much blood that his heart had nothing left to pump. The 3 remaining subjects were restrained and sent to a medical facility for treatment. All required surgery. The first one to be operated on received anesthetic but fought back so violently that he broke bones and tore muscles. And as soon as the anesthetic kicked in, his heart stopped, killing him instantly. The 2 remaining subjects didn't get sedated or be operated on. They laughed so much that doctors had to immobilize them using a paralytic agent. After the operation was completed, they were asked why they mutilated themselves. Both gave the same answer: to stay awake. The researchers considered killing the subjects to eliminate any proof of the experiment, but were overruled by the commanding officer. They ordered that the 2 remaining subjects be placed back into the chamber with the researchers. The chief researcher was so outraged that he ended up shooting his officer point blank. He turned around and killed one of the subjects. He pointed his gun at the last remaining subject and asked, "What are you? I must know."
Have you forgotten so easily?
Said, smiling, "We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what sedate you into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven we cannot tread." The researcher fired a round into his own heart. The monitor flatlined as the last subject murmured, "So nearly."
Got an idea for the top 15 list? Be sure to leave it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching.